Hey, we're getting ready to get started in just a second. Charlie's in the green room or the virtual room or the dressing room, makeup room, whatever you want to call it. He's in there. We're going to wait one more minute. Got one more thing to do. Then we'll be getting going here. Yeah, keep putting where you're from. Everyone introduce yourself in the chat there. Charlie and I both can see the chat. If you write something really spiffy and funny, I may toss it up on the screen. I may not, but I may. So all right. That's some good music there. That's some good music. say, hey, I got a few announcements tonight. We're going to have Charley Hogwood, the expert in group survival retreats, nuclear power, and solar winds. Some of that's true, some of it's not. Few things last week. We actually had Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy for the 17th time. They're great people. It was a great show. You can go back and listen to them. It's on our YouTube channel. You can go back. It was 2 hours. There was some good information there. Tonight, we have Charley Hogwood. He always says I misspell his name. I want everybody to verify that's his correct spelling of his name. And so, but he is on live with us tonight. I can see him and you can't. Is Prepper Camp still on? Yes, it is. Next week, we're going to have Sam Kopler from Forward Observer. Sam and I talked last night. We got some things that we're working. He's going to help me with a few things. But he's going to be on next Thursday night. And then we're going to have Kyle, the conspiracy theorist, Newton. I don't know. But he's going to be on the 27th. We're going to talk about all these crazy conspiracy theories. And he believes them. I think he believes it's just one. And they all come together like a magic puzzle. And there's some crazy ones going on right now. So we're going to discuss conspiracy theory night. It will change your life. Then after that, we're going to have Andrew from EMP Shield. He's going to come and talk about his EMP product. I've got like 42 lined up experts in electromagnetic fields and everything that I know are going to ask questions. And we'll see if this thing's a good thing or not. I don't know. I know I got a couple free ones out of it. And we're going to see. I think he's going to have an announcement as well. So that is on the September 23rd. Then a really good, smart-looking, good-looking guy is coming on September 10th. And we're going to talk about online privacy and security. I think everyone a little bit needs to back their profile off the internet a little bit. We're going to go briefly in and how to purchase things anonymously on the internet and how to protect yourself a little bit. So that is on September 10th. I've done that one before. It has a lot of updated things on there as well. But then we're going to have Scott Hunt, Engineer 775, on September 17th. Scott is all things solar, water, off-grid, wine cellars. And then on October 1st, I'm going to have a gentleman. His name is Pastor Felix. And we're going to talk about end times Bible prophecy. And, let's just say that today Trump announced a peace treaty between Saudi Arabia and Israel. And one of the things we will cover, and I'll probably cover this on Facebook a little bit, but does that fulfill Daniel's 9:27? That's a good question. 9:27 is the peace treaty. When that thing is fulfilled, time is running out. I'm just saying, we'll go through all that kind of stuff as well. And then, and so I do have a nice little graphic here. You can go to PrepperNet, and I did misspell his name wrong there. That was not me. I hired someone to do that. Yes, that is, I'm going to fire them immediately. So if you want to go to PrepperNet's Facebook page, you can swipe that and then share that and make me happy. Also, I have a book out there. It's called The Case for Christian Preparedness. And you can buy the paperback book now. It's $6. If you want to be cheap and you want something free, I think I'm going to give it away the night in a Kindle version, the night that we do the end time prophecy. So either way, I don't care. Hey, go to PrepperNet and sign up, become a basic or a premium member and support what we're doing. We this is some tough times. We had a leadership meeting last night, and there's some strange things going on. And I mean, how do you have in-person meetings when the government says you should? I mean, so anyway, and it's spread throughout the United States. So we, as a leadership team, we're working through this, trying to figure out the best way to connect people locally. That's the goal of PrepperNet. I will say that we're doing a huge giveaway, and you can register. We're giving away a sun oven completely decked out, even with the new cover that I designed for the sun ovens. We're giving away Sawyer water filters, not one, but two. I know there's one list there, but I could not afford. No, there's two. And then we're going to give away some legacy food as well. It's over $1,000. Don't go there right now because it's more important for you to get this information, but preppernet.com/giveaway. And it will forward you to this cool little site. The more you share it, the more you do things, the more entries you get. And that's going to be given away October 1st. It's huge. It's $1,000. Huge. So anyway, make sure you go and register for that. One other thing is, I just threw this in, guys. I'm a wholesaler for legacy food. So you don't have to buy my food, but you could. The reason I'm telling you is because I save you a ton of money. So if you're a member of PrepperNet, which any one of you could be if you just go to PrepperNet and sign up as a basic free member, then you get prices like you've never seen before. I guarantee it. In my survival group, the reason we went with Legacy, we tested every food based on every criteria, and we came up with Legacy. And we knew we were going to buy a lot, so we became a wholesaler. And so I have really unbelievable prices on the website, and you can go there. You got to become a member. It's only for members only. And also, and the shipping right now is around 7 days. They've been working hard. And if you want to know about Legacy and how great their product is, look up Honeyville. Honeyville is the one that actually packages this for Legacy. Honeyville has one of the best names in the market. And the great thing about, I will say this, you can buy Mountain House and Thrive. There's these other things. I don't like to cook. I don't like to mix things together and cook. And I also don't, when I cook for a family, I don't want to take 1 meal packages either and make meals out of them. These are in 4 serving packages. So when one package is a meal for the family. I'm just telling you, it's different. It's the best. No GMOs, no additives. It's the best tasting. And you know what? I'm going to just be real with you. Please don't share this, okay? But when you eat Legacy in a grid down situation, you end up looking like this. That is facts. You can fact check me on that. When you eat Legacy food and you buy it from PrepperNet, you eat this for 3 months, you will look like that. Okay. So anyway, Legacy food. Check us out. Become a member at PrepperNet. And you know what? I mean, that by the way, that photo there, that's Charley like 10 years ago. So anyway. So, hey, don't wait any longer. Let's bring the man. Oh, gosh, let's bring him in the house. There he is. Charley, are you there? Can you hear me?
I got you, Forrest. I'm over here looking at the mirror, that picture of me back in the day about a week ago when I was lifting.
If you eat my food, you look like that, and so that's a motivation for people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And so, hey, Charley is the man. Charley's one of his books is one of the first books I read on prepping. It wasn't the first, but it was one of the first. And Charley has his own gig. It's called Ready Go Prep.
You got it right this time.
I see the smile.
After all these
Ready
years.
Go Prep. Charley does consulting. He's written books on mag groups, survival groups. He is the king. I'm just going to say, I pride myself in the knowledge I have working with groups, but Charley is the king. You're the king.
Okay.
You're the first.
I left my crown somewhere.
I got one coming for you.
Okay.
But he is the king of mag groups. He's worked with, he's done every type of training. If you guys are involved in search training, I think he's trained every CERT member in the world because he has all the certificates. How many certificates do you have? This just be real.
Running up right up against 60. Everything from weapons of mass destruction, field epidemiological, ICS, all the ICS courses.
So if you want to be with this guy when doomsday happens, he's also written a book on survival retreats called Prepper's Survival Retreat.
There you go. That's right.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? And do you have your MAGS group or survival groups with you as well? So yeah. I own at least 5 of them, if not more. I don't know where they are though. Look at that young man.
Yeah. See, that was last week.
That's in the Boy Scouts.
That was before I started eating legacy foods.
Yeah. And but I have 5 and I've loaned them out and I don't know where they are. And he has another best-selling New York Times, London Times.
I don't know that it's all of that.
It's called the Unraveling. And
this guy right here, I don't know if you can see all that, bears a striking resemblance to some real people in the room.
In the room?
Yeah. And then if you look real close at this guy on the back on over here on this side.
Yep.
Does that look a little bit like Dr. Bones?
It does.
Because that's exactly who that character was modeled after. Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy in the book have Dr. Marcus Welby and Clara are in there.
Nice. And in the main character though, his name is Kyle. No.
Cal.
That's it. That's right.
Cal. Cal Bohannon.
I remember I read that book. And I know you guys may have heard me. I read that book in one day. That's just the way I roll. And I think I started texting you saying, dude, I hate your book. I'm washing my hands like every 45 minutes right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and did you know the striking resemblance to the virus in the book? And
we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah. You had nothing to do with the pandemic. So that is, what else do we need to know about the unbelievable Charley Hogwood?
Oh, please. So I don't know. We've been doing this preparedness as professionals, I guess, since about 2010. So we've been doing it for about 10 years now. Professionally, we've done it a lot longer than that. We've got over 15 years in the U.S. Army and as a scout, as an infantry squad leader, all over this rock. And, I've got a lot of emergency management training. My latest thing, as I continue to always improve, you'll hear me say a lot, always improve your position, whether physical or financial or emotional, whatever it is. And so my last thing now is I'm a support firefighter for my local county. And so if we start getting 911 calls, they pop up on my phone now. As a matter of fact, you'll see a couple of them have already come through here. But so that's part of my information gathering and how I give back to the community is working as a firefighter. So. Right,
and you have a red phone in your office that directly connects to the president. Am I right?
Yeah, and yes, and now I'm having one sent over to Biden's office. So.
Okay. You better not be.
You never know. I mean, we have to stay in touch.
Okay. Well, that is Charley. Y'all feel like you know him? Because I feel like really I know him now.
Well, we just we're informal. We have a lot of information to inculcate, if you will, and
I have a lot of questions.
Have fun with it. Sure.
A lot of questions, but so when was the last time you had all you can eat sushi with a really good looking guy?
Yeah, it was in North Carolina. I went out with sushi with this guy from PrepperNet. It was good. The only thing that spoiled the meal is when he pulled out his wallet, the moths that all flew out kind of contaminated the whole restaurant. So
That cost me a fortune, man. What are you talking about?
Well, it's all you can eat, so
It was all you can eat.
I thought it was rather budget and it was, pretty good, but
Yep. So that was fun times. So Charlie, what are you doing now?
So currently I'm the editor-in-chief for Survival Dispatch Insider Magazine, and it really is an amazing magazine. It's a digital magazine. It's anywhere from 60, 70 pages up to 100 pages per issue each month. Zero advertising in there other than just any products that end up in the articles, then we'll put them links to them. But we don't accept advertising. So, the issues are just solid content from, I've got over 17 writers that I heard like frogs in a wheelbarrow trying to get them to write. Chris Weatherman is one of them.
Right.
A lot of people that you do know, some people that you don't know, some people that are amazing behind the scenes, but write some amazing content. This next issue that's going to be coming out here probably Monday, we're going to go ahead and drop it, will be on System Crash. And it's not a doomsday-ish magazine. It's not apocalyptic, but it covers all levels of preparedness. So whether you're brand new to it or you're a veteran, survivalist, preparedness-minded person, you wait till you see the digital article, the article on the dangers to our electronic grid and where that really comes from. The guy that I have writing those articles is one of those secret squirrel IT guys. But, people say that, but this really is that case. So that's the level of writers that I get. I don't just start harvesting Facebook or anybody thinks they can write an article. Although if anybody out there wants to write on a topic and thinks they can put some words together, I would love to talk to you because I'm always looking for people with experience and who can also write really well. So, and I'll help you through that process. But that's what's going on currently, and we are building. There's a new side project that might happen that's going to be an entirely new monster. As soon as I have details I can release on that, I think we're all going to have a lot of fun with it. So,
right. And so I just got a quick question. Does it have anything to do with that?
No, actually not at all.
Okay.
Yeah, nope. My January issue of Insider does have to do with that, not the food part, but the fit to fight issue. But
Okay. Well, awesome. So, and you that's a full-time gig, right?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, it's full-time in addition to my other full-time work with consulting and writing and everything else. Because the Road Trials book is done. You'll probably see it in the next 2 weeks or so on Amazon. That's book two that's book two of this one. Okay.
Now I got a question. Let's get. It's a personal question. Okay.
Okay.
I told you to ask you a couple.
Yeah, sure.
How long has that book been done?
That book has been 95% done for about 12 months.
I know that, and I've been waiting for it.
I think it was done probably when I saw everybody at Heritage Life Skills.
Okay.
But I've got 3 books that are sitting there that are at 95% finished, and literally that close. It's just, we're busy.
I've been waiting for the rest of that book. So that's why I'm trying to poke it to you a little bit there.
Yeah, the next 2 books that are coming out are going to be nonfiction. I got the fiction Road Trials coming out, but I've got 2 others that are sitting there that are nonfiction that are going to be very helpful in establishing, your operational environment and, the stuff. So you remember we did the forms, the Group to Go forms.
Oh yes.
That's actually a book that we're working on, which is easy in that we made the forms not so easy because it was a lot of work, but it's an impossible book to write because trying to find a way to weave all that together and then make it into something that it doesn't read like a computer manual.
Everyone wants all the forms when you create a group. They want the how to do the bylaws, how to interview someone, job
descriptions,
how to run the organization, and you have all that.
Yeah,
and it's like fill in the blank.
Yeah, Yeah, so I've always said that, look, you take these documents, you fill in the blanks, and you're survivaling. I mean, make that a word. Because the vast majority of groups have two problems. Really, it boils down to two main issues. It's commitment and it's participation. And the fun running and gunning and camping and, going to the range and all that stuff, that's the fun stuff. But what nobody wants to do is the foundational elements, the mission statement, the reason we're here, writing all this stuff down, writing your own constitution, if you will, in that, and we help you with that. It is a time machine because all groups get off track. I mean, your group has been ups and downs throughout the years. You've had, you've all settled in like a little old married couple at this point.
Yep.
But throughout the years, you may have thought you had 100 people in your group and you found out you had 5, right?
Yep.
So, and the best part. So you had to get that time machine out and say, why are we here? What are we doing? And fix it.
Everyone wants my documents for my group because my group's been around for a long time. And we spent, upwards of $15,000 for lawyers to help us put all this together. And the more we thought about it, the creating the documents is actually one of the most important things you can do as a group, because you learn from each other. You're creating a country in a sense of new laws for your group, and we came together so much during that process. We wouldn't trade that for anything. So
yeah, I mean, that's what it boils down to is being able to communicate across time with the same message, and you're not playing that game of telephone where 5 years ago this was your mission statement, and now the laws of casualty have gotten in there. Now the mission statement sounds nothing like it did.
Right.
You've got people in the same group that now are not on the same sheet of music, to use that old trite cliche.
So I do want to tell everyone, so Charley I won't say I've put Charley in some rooms just like this with his good friends, Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. And at the end of the night, we're like, oh, Charley's still there.
Everybody loves to talk to Joe and Amy. That's just
and Joe and Amy loves to talk. And so I'm like, I got to get Charley his own thing. And this is it. This is your moment. Because Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy will take every question and expand it for a 45-minute,
they do that because they're very good at it, and I'll do that because I love talking about it. And honestly, people love to talk about medicine and first aid, and what's that rash I have or whatever. That's not what I do. I don't. Your rash that's on you. Literally, it's on you.
So I just want you to know, in North Carolina, the barber shops are open.
Yeah, not here in Georgia. Because I've just given up on barbershops. So.
Yeah, I mean, and do you not have a Flowbee?
Flowbee. Yeah, the old thing that goes on the shop vac, and
you could shop that.
Not a real version of that. It's called something else now, but no.
Okay.
Actually, Courtney's in the room, and it's she says she likes the longer hair. I'm gonna go with it for a little while. So.
Oh, okay.
Hey, she's the boss.
Yeah. So let me ask you some questions. Let's get to some serious things. So a lot of people are learning right now, and I've heard this over and over. Oh my gosh, I don't have a retreat property and I don't have a group. I'm going to die.
They were telling them that.
I do tell them that.
Yes.
I do tell them that. But what's the softer side? I mean, what does experience the kingpin of survival groups and retreats? I mean, because we talked about this earlier this week. Groups are hard.
Yeah, they are. Groups are a headache that even I get tired of dealing with sometimes, because it just is, because it's personal dynamics, and right now people are angry, they're depressed, they're anxious, they're just frustrated, and just come together is really hard right now, and they're not even supposed to be together. So how do you get your group to come together when that's exactly what it is designed to do in a time like this? So we can talk about that kind of thing, but the softer side of it is, this is why we prepare individually and as a family first and foremost. Yes, a group is nice. Having a number of people together to be able to run off to your retreat is great. It's a great peace of mind. But at the end of the day, if it's just you and you're alone, well, then be ready as you can be. If it's you and a buddy and we call that battle buddies, then start there. If it's you and a buddy and you both got 3 family members behind you, well, now it's not just 2. Now you're dealing with like 8, 9 people and a dog, probably a cat. So now you've got a group. So I'm sure there'll be some cat jokes that pop up in the comments, but start there. Don't freak out about this. Just take a big breath and start somewhere. And then now, once you've got your people together, understand your physical location. Am I living in the downtown Seattle area in a studio somewhere? If that's the case, maybe I might want to think about, can I go somewhere else, either temporarily or permanently? And that's where we get into, strategic relocation stuff. It's not as bad as a lot of people make it out to be. Just find a couple of people that you can be comfortable working with. And I will say that I have seen personally in this environment, people that were your neighbors, that you talked across the fence, that you were close to, and had each other's back, will lose their stuff, and now you don't trust them anymore. And that really goes back to, how much do they know, what's my OPSEC exposure here? And OPSEC being operational security for any of our newer folks. So what I will say is, as we go through all of the questions tonight, if there's a question whatsoever that I say, use a term or something like that, throw it in the chat. Forrest will pick it up. I'll cover it. There's no pride of ownership or anything here. I want to make sure everybody down to the lowest level is clear on what we discussed, and anybody that feels a little bit more well prepared, they have a more complicated question, let's address that too, because now's the time to do it. I'm happy to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a question for everyone in the chat room. I've been quoted in saying that dogs or cats are allowed on the retreat. And I want you to finish that sentence, okay? I want someone in the chat room to finish that sentence. And we'll see how many people have ever heard me say what I was going to say. So I'll throw up on the screen to the first person that gets that. They're welcome on the retreat. But so one of the things I've changed is a lot of people are looking for 10 people or 14 people to start this massive group. And it never works like that. The best way it works is you and one other person saying, hey, let's start something together. Me and you get together. And, oh, there we go. Cam got it right. Cats are allowed on the retreat as long as they're in a Ziploc bag.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Written in Sharpie on the bag in the freezer. Is that where we're at?
Yes.
Yeah, I did that to somebody that had a lot of chicken in the freezer one time, and I took my fancy little Sharpie and I wrote down neighbor's cat in the freezer.
But I say that in like a class I'm teaching, and the people's faces are, you would not believe. I've not had anybody started crying yet, but it's been close. Mm-hmm. So I tell people, though, back to that it starts with 2 people. Just don't try to get this whole militia or 15 people. Just start with you and a friend.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct on that. And like I just said a couple of minutes ago, I've had groups that I've consulted with and spoke to and even interviewed for the books and all this. And they call me and they're like, okay, well, I've got 128 people in our group. I said, wow, that's a pretty good sized group. And we talked for about 20 minutes. And by the time that 20 minutes was over, they had eight core members. And we started identifying, okay, what are the true core people and what are the associates to the group? What are the ones that always show up? What are the ones that are like just call me if something goes down. And
Right.
mostly I was just out. We were just out camping a couple of weeks ago, and a camper trailer that was next to us out there was had one of the militia logos on the truck. It's like, hey, I know that group. We were just chatting for a few minutes, and the gentleman said, "Oh, I'm not actively doing anything with them. I've done this too long." And I said, "If anything happens, just give me a shout and I'll come down." And I didn't say, because I'm not, I could have, but you're doing your group a disservice if that is your all the time attitude.
Right.
We're all busy. The world we're in competition for our eyeballs with all the things that are going on. But if you tell your group, I'm only going to be there when something happens, and nothing really ever happens, and your group never gets activated, what happens when you do? What happens when there's a storm or an event that you need to come together or do something, and you show up or don't even get called because they never think about you, or you show up and you're like, "Hey, I'm here," and they're all like, "Who's this guy?" Because now they've all just started hanging together. They've got that social environment going on. And when I studied sociology for the book, there's in-group behavior and there's out-group behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like, imagine, two football teams. They all wear the same uniforms on either team. But when they do that, the ones that are all wearing the same uniforms, they're buddies. They're all like, I got your back. And then one from the other team shows up even, in the hallway somewhere, there's going to naturally be that, you're one of them. So we'll wave at you maybe, but we don't know you. And
Right.
and that same thing happens in groups. So if you're not participating in the group, you're actually letting yourself down and your group down, and you should be there to share the stuff that that information, your training and experiences.
Yep.
So
we have a question from one of our listeners. I have a rash near my buttocks. What should I use? Hang on.
Well,
Charlie,
if you have a rash, scratch it.
All right, I'm just going to go.
No, actually, the funny thing is that if you're a dermatologist, it's all very simple. If it's dry, wet it, and if it's wet, dry it.
Okay. Wow, that is some sage advice.
A lot of people don't know this, but that Charlie and I have been in essentially the same group for, I don't know, a dozen years or so, or more.
Yeah.
We were just a group of maybe a half a dozen people to begin with.
Yeah, that's about right.
We went through together in the very beginnings of finding each other on, where was it? Was it on Facebook? Was it on something years
whatever
ago?
Was popular.
Whatever
back
it
then.
was is probably not out of service now.
Yeah.
Maybe a telephone that you dial on. Remember those? You push buttons.
Yes,
I think that's how we found each other, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Ones with the cords at the end.
Hey, Charlie, I just wanted to bring them on. I asked them if they would call me real quick, just to butt in on you.
No, I'd love to see you guys.
And we're not going to stay long because I have a ton of questions for you. But
no,
hey,
we just wanted to
All right.
say hi.
Just say
Let
hi.
you know we're here to support you
Okay.
and love you guys.
Love y'all.
bye, guys.
Bye.
Oh, Charlie, I had that planned.
Did you? I should have known you are a little sketchy like that. Wonderful friends.
Yeah, I know you're friends with them, and every time, like all the meetings, I mean, anyway, it's your time today.
Well, here's the thing, and they're right. We met those many years ago, building a group, and had no idea who each other was. I hadn't even thought about writing a book. We were just like saying, okay, well, we got to get ready for hurricanes and whatever's going on, and we ended up together. And when you take the time to find the right people and develop those relationships, you have friends for life. And I'd be there for them for anything I could possibly do from now on. And they would do the same thing for me and for mine. And that's what you're looking for. If you set out and you say, okay, I got to find a mechanic, I got to find a gardener, I got to find an EMT or whatever, and put your group together that way, and you set up with a hard number of 14 or 50 people or whatever it is, you're going to put so much pressure on yourself that you're going to have a lot of relationships that don't gel. Do these kind of things like we did with Joe and Amy years ago. And I know people and they know people. And if they trust somebody, I'm good with that. If I trust somebody, they're good with that. And if we built our group that way organically, then we're going to have a better opportunity to build this more cohesive, I got your back unit, as opposed to getting on meetup.com and saying, okay, what is your skill? Okay, we like you. And then, go into the book and you'll see what happens after 90 days when they don't get what they want out of the group and they leave.
So do you find that most groups, when they're starting, so surviving the end of the world is a good common denominator, but I find that when I get a group of family members or a group of church members, or even a group that is, all gun out, and their big thing is nothing but guns. And that's Glenn Tate's group. That's how their group started. Just people loving to learn how to shoot guns. When they have more of a common denominator than just survive the end of the world, I think it works out better, don't you?
Yeah. So that hits on a couple of key points. One is framing the discussion, because if you're meeting somebody, even if it's in your family, and you go to your brother-in-law, you go to somebody in the family and say, hey, we're getting ready for the end of the world. Would you like to check us out?
Right.
That they're going to haul you off in a butterfly net, and you don't get invited to Thanksgiving unless you want to be the joke. And that's not what we want. What we're looking for is, oh yeah, we're squared away. They bring up a hurricane. Yeah, we're fine. We got a place to go. And we've never had a problem because we're always on top of that. And that confidence that can come out from having that kind of a position will be more likely to attract people to you, because right now, in the way the world is with all of this virus and the economy and the gangs and everything and the riots that are going on, there's a lot of people, even on the far left, they're like, this is crazy. I thought you were nuts, but do you mind if I ask you some questions? And because you weren't one of the the very craziest fringe type people, they will respect you and approach you. And even if they're on the wrong side of the aisle from your perspective, your views, that's okay. Right now, what we're looking at being prepared, and you would rather have people on your side as opposed to knowing you got stuff that we don't like you, but we know we like your stuff. That could be a bad situation.
Yes, and so there is a thing too, because everyone's. And we talked about this just this week. Everyone wants to be in a group, but the group is kind of the hardest thing to do too.
Yeah.
It's harder than any skill that you have.
Even just a family that's trying to get on the same, thing with preparedness, that's a group. And when your family there's always one spouse who's really into it, and there's always one spouse who's like, I'm going to go along with this, or you do your thing, or I'll help you a little bit, but let's kind of keep it sane. And, that's the same thing. You got to start with your family. If your family's not squared away, you have no business bringing other people into that environment, because all you're doing is bringing all that drama to your mama, and she's going to hate you even more.
Mama. That's nice. Hey, that's good. Drama to you. So,
you want to write that down?
Yeah, write that down. Drama to you. So, So I and you are the same way, is you also have to have skills. So while you're looking for a group or looking for that friend that you're going to finally ask and say, hey, let's form a team. Let's don't call it a group. Let's a team. And if something happens to my family and something happens, let's just kind of work together. And you think that's natural with best friends, but you don't do that with best friends, because some of your best friends they don't think alike. You know what I mean? They just don't have
a lot of times best friends might be at the bowling alley on a team, or they might be down at the pub, or they might, you meet them at the range, but you have no idea about their personal life outside of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the best thing you can do if you're not in a group is to get yourself ready for a group. With your skills, with your preparation. So if someone does ask you, or someone does, or you want to approach someone, you don't want to go to someone and say, hey, let's work together if there's a disaster or something. they may go, well, what kind of provisions you got? Well, I'm just starting. I'm getting ready to buy my first gun next week. No one's going to say yes to that.
Well, there are groups that do. And
there are. Okay.
Yeah. But see, now you bring up a great point, because there are people who will, they have this locked in vision of what they want out of a candidate to be a friend. Mm-hmm. I'm going to use the word friend as a group person. If you go to your neighbor that you meet at the mailbox every once in a while and say, hey, dude, we're building a survival team. Like to talk to you about that. I mean, that might catch that person really off guard. But if you develop a friendly relationship with that person, you might find that person is great to know, but you might not want that person to be in your group. And once they live across the street or down the street, and you've put them in an official capacity of a group like that, and then it's really hard to get rid of that person, because I say, get rid of people early and fast if it's going to go wrong. And that's where vetting, the two most important things a group can do are vetting new members, figuring out who we're going to put in here, and secondly, the decision making of the group. How are decisions going to be made? If you can't do those two things, everything else is going to be a problem. So you might get along great with somebody, but if you took them camping, and one of the things I always say is, well, take your friends out on somewhere that is outside of their comfort zone, and they fight the entire time down the river, is that the person you want in the group? They might still be great to have as an associate in a bad time, or they might watch your kids or something like that. But is that the person that you want to bring into the retreat, if you will? Probably not.
Right.
So you got to work on building
dynamics is very important, and you control that by getting to know people beforehand.
Yeah. One of the things I heard recently, and it really rang true, if you can't hold your temper and keep yourself in control, under normal circumstances, and things really frustrate you, are you going to be a good group member? Is that person going to be a good group member? Maybe they're not ready, or you're not ready for a group.
I'm screwed.
And I want that to sink in, because we all go through these ups and downs, especially these days. We're frustrated, angry, depressed, and all that. Now is when you'll see, what you're dealing with yourself and, the people around you, whether it's in your family or whether it's that neighbor that you would really love to work together with. So if you're new here and you're listening on tonight's, podcast, this video cast, and you're saying, you know what, I know there's a person in my neighborhood I'd really like to kind of get in with, you've got to make sure that you're a good candidate for that. And if you know that they do it, they got all the key giveaway stickers on the back of their truck, Glock and all that stuff, and you think that's the person, and you're not that person, you've got to find a way to appeal to making yourself valuable as a connection to that person. Right. So that's really where it boils down to those dynamics.
Yes. So we have a lot of new preppers now. Some of them are temporary, and some of them will stick with it. How do you suggest people find or start the conversation? And I'm not talking about building a massive group, but just finding a teammate, in a sense. Being
able to have a conversation with somebody.
Yes.
You've got to be able to have a conversation, and you've got to, you're kind of, I say interviewing somebody, but you're trying to find the chemistry with yourself and someone else. And so you can use the conversational tactics like Ford, Ford, F-O-R-D, family, occupation, what's the other one? Dreams and recreation. So you go through that flow chart of things to have a conversation with. And not all of us are natural at having an individual conversation. I can talk to a room of 1,000 people more comfortably sometimes than I can just in a room with one person and get the back and forth. A lot of times I find myself looking for information, and that might be off-putting to somebody, because I'm like, okay, I need to know this, and right. I'm not here for you. And we all, or a lot of us, run through that kind of problem. and we've got to be able to be conscious of our own limitations to be able to do that. So find a way to have a conversation. And if the other person is doing those kind of things and it's just off-putting to you, well, then make an excuse to, I got to go rearrange my sock drawer. Like I got things I got to go do. That's what it boils down to.
Right.
I might find, it was great talking to you. We'll catch up again sometime.
See, that's the entire reason I kind of started PrepperNet, so people can go and meet other like-minded people. Not that they're going to be in their group one day, but I have met some good friends. Some of my best friends now are in the PrepperNet group that I met, not in my personal survival group, but in the meetups. And it's a good place. I mean, with the COVID, it's kind of put a strain on our meetings and everything, but it's a good place. What other places? I mean, let's say PrepperNet is like a 10 out of meeting other people, because we all know it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's you're the gold standard.
You're right. Yeah, you said it. I didn't. What's some other places that you would recommend? I mean, could it be Wilson over the fence line? Or
yeah. So just don't approach people with in the back of your mind that you're there to target them to bring them into the fold. Maybe just go in and have a conversation and see if there's a little chemistry there. And not, by the way, just you and them chemistry. It's you, them, and your family chemistry and your family. And it gets really kind of weird that way sometimes. So, but go places where you go. If you go to the farmer's market, that's a great place to get to know the person who's always got eggs at the market. The person who makes soap and always is at the market, the person who is the gardener, the co-op. There's a lot of farmers markets where they bring the baskets of vegetables and you pick them up every week on account. Like, and they're the ones that grow that food. It's a good idea to know people that do that and get on the first name basis with those people, because if something happens in the supply chains and you need to figure out where you're going to fill your supply chain deficiencies. I know that person at the market. I know their name. I know them well enough that if I pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm looking for vegetables, for the family, you're going to get a lot farther ahead than that mask covered face that walks in, throws them a $10 bill and leaves again. So that's where you can make those connections. Join your CERT team. Teams are, but CERT teams, the CERT team was what got me into being support firefighter, which has got me into being on the 911 system, which has got me the inside track on everything that is going on in the county around me, the emergencies, so you never know when that funneling opportunity is going to really take you somewhere else. And if you can put people with other people and provide a service to somebody or be valuable in yourself with that kind of information, you never know where it's going to take you. The vast majority of people you talk to will be like, nah, that's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. What do I need to know what's going on with the 911 system? I find it kind of valuable, except for those, those COVID calls I see, 3 times a night waking me up, but go those places. Go to the range. Go to a training situation. Go to, gun training. Go to tactical training. Go to camping. Go to a hiking meetup. Go to places where people would have the skills that would be valuable. Go to a canning class. Go to a beekeeping class, even if you don't have any intention on doing beekeeping. But you're there meeting other people. So that's what I would say as a great start for it.
Yep. I agree 100%. So the CERT classes and there's ham radio, but don't assume everyone that goes to these classes still have like-minded.
No, ham radio people are, if it's a ham radio person,
they're weird.
They're really, I tease a lot of them because I'm like, you were the AV kid with the horn rimmed glasses, in junior high school with the VCR, right? So some of them are techie like that and have zero interest of being prepared. And to the level that they'll show up at a big disaster to be the communications person. And the only go bag they have is a little tool bag with a bunch of cables and batteries in it. And not even a protein bar. And
an LED sign with their call sign on it.
Yeah, absolutely. This is me, Kilo 9, whatever. And they show up, and all they're doing now is they're a burden to the relief effort because they're another mouth to feed until they can start providing help. So the people that are in preparedness and survival that are also doing ham radio stuff are a different animal altogether. If you try to talk to a ham radio person and say, hey, tell me about that, which radio should I get? You might as well just sit down and take a nap because it's going to be 4 hours of my eyes are glazing over. And I don't like that at all. What I like about ham radio, I buy this one. This is what I need. Put it all in a box and let's go. And teach them to use it. That apparently does not exist. So that's a problem with ham radio people.
We're getting there. We're getting there. So with all these people wanting to start groups up, I would recommend, there's not books written on groups and starting groups. I think, as far as I know, I think yours is like the only one out there.
Yeah.
And it's a good starter book.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I put a lot into it.
Yeah. So your ghostwriter that did that. No.
That's right. That's right. Remind me to send you your royalties.
Yeah. But that's a great place for people to start because it lets them know it's more important. The group dynamics are important. The structure is important. The training, the friendships, how people get along are very important, but skills are important as well. Mm-hmm. And your book you can almost there's forms in the book as well, right? And there's there's a
little bit of form. What it does is it doesn't give you the forms like my Group to Go product, right. But what it does is it tells you, okay, here's how to do decision making. Here's the path of an idea through a survival group. Why do I need to do that? Because once you understand systems and develop policies, if you want to go corporate, that it helps you grasp what it is you're doing. And there's, it goes back to the very beginning of the book. Well, it doesn't even get to some of that. It gets to, are you sure you want to do this? Mm-hmm. Because the same thing with the retreat book. The strategic relocation is, okay, why are you doing this? Because I don't want you to build a group because Charlie or Forrest said so. I want you to build a group because you've realized that you've got a blind spot or a gap in your survival plan or your everyday readiness. And yes, we could see EMPs and pandemics and things like that. But you know what we can also see? Flat tires, and I got family somewhere, and I might need somebody to pick up my kids from school.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I might have an employment, and I might lose my job. So that's a great reason to have some food storage. So that's one less thing I got to pay for when I don't have a job. So that's why we got to ask those questions. Why are you ready for a survival group? And then once you can say yes to that kind of thing, it's like, okay, here's where you go. Here's how you find them. Here's how you talk to them. And here's how you build it up from there. And then within the book, it'll say, are you having this problem? Well, here's some solutions that we found to correct that problem.
Right. So I would recommend every single one of you buy that book. Even if people in your group have that book, you need to go through it because there's questions in there for you. And then it gives you ideas of there's many ways groups can be formed. There's many things that need to be done even before the group starts. And that book goes through it all. It is the Bible, small b, for survival group.
Sure. All right.
Okay. Yeah, you agree with that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well,
it's a I named it the handbook.
Oh, it is a handbook. That's right.
And I named it the handbook. That's a toss back to Joe and Amy because they did the survival medicine handbook, and actually Joe did the foreword in that book. And
he did.
We were talking about it, and my goal in writing the book was, I just need to be able to pick something up. I'm a Neanderthal. I lift heavy stuff and light things on fire. Tell me what I got to do. Mm-hmm. And a handbook where you can just go through it and say, okay, here we are. I want to fix this, or I need to now work on that. That was why we did the handbook.
Yep. So the handbook, it's a must-have for everyone. So we're going to kind of finish up the survival group. We're going to talk about your other book. If someone wanted Charlie's help with a group, mm-hmm. Does Charlie help with groups?
Yes, I do. You can go to readygoprep.com And one of these days you'll remember that website, I hope.
Ready Go Prep. I know. I have it written down right here.
GoPrep.com.
Yep.
And you'll see what we've got going on there. We're just updating our services page today. I think we've got it up there now. I haven't looked at it in the last couple hours. But what it does is, if you want to build a group, if you want to understand some food storage, if you want training, if you want contingency planning, if you want a hazard analysis, and all of that, those are all services that we do. The last consult I did was 322 pages. That really went into all kinds. I mean, we did an on-site security assessment. I can bring drones. We can go to your place and we can do 3-dimensional orthomosaic mapping. We can evaluate your property for, dead spots and, observation zones and all kinds of things like that. Or we can do video conferencing. So if you want to do a video conference, we're happy to do that too. Some people just need to bounce some ideas and say, hey, am I doing this right? And I'm happy to do that. So whether you want me to fly across the world or get on a web conference with you, I can do both. Yep. And we've got some great other people who can support some amazing training behind that. Some names that you may have heard, before that are pretty well known.
Mm-hmm.
So just depends on what you're looking for.
Are any of them angry or anything?
Well, he's in the ecosystem, yes.
Just kidding.
He's very angry in his ecosystem.
So you have a whole consulting business. So if you need help, if you have questions, that's probably, if you're going to fly him to your retreat, you're pretty far into putting your retreat together. But just many times I've done a 30-minute call and it's changed the whole direction. Call Charlie. He's the expert. He is the one I read his book and I became an expert by reading his book. So it's that good. It's like a class.
Well, it's designed to, both of the nonfiction books I have and the other 2 that are also coming out are designed to bring things to your attention that you may not have thought about. And when I do lectures or I do, tours around at expos that we're not doing any of those right now, when I speak to people, one of the most common things I hear back is, I just never thought about that. I knew this, but you brought up all of these things, and now it's more complete in my head. It's more, I understand now why this is. Because I'm really big on, you're doing this, and here's the 10 reasons why you're doing it, because the why is what motivates you to get the passion and the understanding to move forward in something.
Right.
So that's where we go with that.
So I would encourage everyone that a group is extremely important, but don't neglect your current preps that you need to be doing now. And hopefully in time you'll meet the people. And again, 2 people can form a group. That's not husband and wife. It can be, but
because the husband will maybe have a friend, or the wife might have a friend, or you might have connections. That might be the core of your group, and then the people that are that are orbiting your family might be people that might come in at some point. Maybe it just depends on.
I'll let you have that.
Yeah,
I'll let you have that. But so keep with your preps, but always be looking out for a group, actively seeking for groups.
And that's super hard to do.
It is super hard.
Almost never happens. In that you have to be like, if you go to Heritage Life Skills and you're in the group lecture, I've had people come up to me afterwards and say, hey, I live in this area, but I don't know anybody there, or but I've had people come together at my lectures and they'll say, hey, I'm so-and-so. And next thing you know, they're off and running, and they've got that catalyst to build their group, and some of them are very successful with that.
That's how SEAL Team 6 was formed.
Got to go to those places.
That's how SEAL Team 6 was formed.
Sure. It was, let's do some stuff.
Yeah, let's blow some things up.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm all for it,
So okay. couple things. I got his site up there. It's called ReadyGoPrep.com. Mm-hmm. He does consulting. I'm sure if you have a one question, you can lob to him, and he may have time to answer it. But his book is the Bible for small b, for survival groups. So buy it and read it. Even though you're not in a group, you need the information and need to know what you're looking for, because you put that in there as well.
Yeah, that's definitely in there. Even if you're part of a group.
Yes.
Knowing what a group is about and trying to figure out if a group is right for you is the very beginning of where you need to be in this discussion.
Right.
So even if you borrow it from somebody or buy it, I appreciate that. Everybody's been great to us over the years with this. Just understand the topic, because when I do the live classes, you'll see on my presentations, I actually have, part of the presentation goes into you never seem to find anybody that thinks like you. And then you find one person who starts to think like you, and you latch on to them, like an octopus. You're like, great, I finally found somebody. And that's a mistake. Mm-hmm. It's a start. But if you get so excited because you finally found somebody that you invite them in and tell them everything, and then you don't get along, now you've got that problem, that, well, you've said too much and it's not working out. So just find somebody and build a friendship. Start there.
Yep.
And then go from there.
I agree. So buy his book, use him as a consultant, go to his website, and but I want to talk about how you caused the coronavirus.
Oh, yeah. If you want to see how it started, it's all right here.
I mean, this is okay, people. He created the coronavirus. I'm telling you. So let me just ask you
over YouTube tomorrow.
Yeah, let me just ask you a quick question, Charlie. Where does your virus start in the book?
It starts in South America.
I thought it was China.
Well, there's a corporation involved, but it starts technically in Venezuela.
Okay.
And it got into some human trafficking. It got into across the border, and there might have been something that happened, and it just took off from there.
Yeah.
So my goal in creating this virus was, how can I make a virus that's super contagious, that you're asymptomatic, you don't know you got it, but you're already spreading it.
Right.
And
wow.
Yeah. And in day 16, you either die or you start to get better. And that's on the back of the cover.
Dr. Fauci calling you right now?
What was that?
Is Dr. Fauci calling you right now?
No, I was on with him earlier. No. But so many of the things in the virus design came out that kind of mirrored this. And the really funny thing is, I can use the word funny. Last December, I about a month or two before that, I came up with the germ warfare issue of Survival Dispatch Insider, and I wanted to cover pandemics, bloodborne pathogens, medical messes, and things like that. And Joe and Amy got a couple of articles in there for me, isolation rooms and all that. And that was December. By January, we were headlong towards a pandemic. And so then I got accused of, again, fomenting this pandemic because I forecasted it and laid it all out. So in the book, I said, okay, here's the virus. I'm going to let this loose on the world. And then in the Insider, here's all the things that you can do to make yourself safe from the pandemic.
And your book, if you read this, I mean, the only thing difference between your book and what we're going through now is more people may die in your book than actual reality right now. So this is just a mild pandemic.
Well, the pandemic, it's not like Stephen King's The Stand, but it has it does have a very high rate of, I didn't make it.
Right.
But here's the secret with the unraveling. The pandemic was never supposed to be the star of the story. The pandemic is the catalyst of the unraveling of the fabric of society. and it worked out really well. And it turned out it started mirroring things that we've seen in the last 6-7 months.
It's very scary.
Yeah.
And as you were talking, I was looking for my hand sanitizer. And I see it over there.
Yeah. And that's what happened. So the idea is, yes, but it's average everyday people. There are no tactical superheroes in my book. There's no SEAL team, this and that. There are everyday people who started saying, hey, why don't we start getting together? And they followed my survival group handbook in the fiction side.
Mm-hmm.
But they made every mistake. They didn't take things, they're like, well, we don't need this. We do need, and they start kind of piecemealing things together. So they really didn't bring the survival group handbook in early enough. And so they made a lot of mistakes, and they didn't have time. They waited to build this group thinking something else entirely was going to happen, like an economic kind of downturn. And it turns out that this virus just swept in sideways, and now they're like, well, we were starting to get prepared, and now we're not ready. And it's a great case study in, I got a lot of stuff and no skills, and I'm losing my stuff.
Right.
And in book 2, you'll start to see that the people that have made it through book 1 and the journey of that are like, we did have that. Now we're dealing with people. And going back to groups, you'll always hear me say, people are your biggest problem, whether it's in survival or disaster, or at your place of employment, or on Facebook, or wherever it is. People are always your biggest problem. You can think your way out of any survival situation, giving a little bit of time and some resources generally, and till someone else shows up, and then they have other ideas and other goals and intentions, and then now you're not working together. And that's where this second book ends up. They're trying to work together, and they didn't have the skills, and they've managed to start losing things. And it's called the road trials because on their journey, it's just like one thing after another that they're dealing with, and they're losing more and more stuff. And then book 3, that's going to come out
in 2029.
Yes. Yeah, I'm going to start writing that probably 5 or 10 years from now. But yes, but I'm going to, I am coining a term, and I was trying to decide if I should say it, but I'm coining a term in my book. It's called the Illennials. That'll be the next series that comes from this. So if you start hearing that on the news
from you,
for the new generation of children that have grown up in the pandemic era, we had the millennials. I'm creating the Illennials, and they are going to be the kids that have come up dealing with this and have maybe lost some parents, and they're now doing their own tribal type of thing. So
someone earlier called you a prophet. So hey, I saw it on there. I actually put it on the screen, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of that, what's your take, if you don't mind? I mean, your book is great, The Unraveling. You got to go check it out. I was so mad at him because I was washing my hands, and everything I touched, I was even more conscious then after I read the book than I am now about washing my hands and everything. Yeah. So is there anything, as seeing a small pandemic play out, is there anything you would have changed in the book, or did you have it pretty, you still stand by what was in the book?
I stand by what was in the book. In what I've done a lot of social media with Survival Dispatch over these last months, we were all trying to get our head wrapped around the reality of what's going on. And still today, it's a bungled mess from every level of leadership down. And I think I was going by the 2005 national pandemic strategy of what the expectation would be at this level of a national health issue, that the waves would come through in 4 to 8 weeks, kind of reverberate back and forth, and all of that kind of stuff. And I think we were looking at it that way. and it doesn't feel like we've had the wave thing. What I did not pick up is the way science has been politicized. I expected the CDC to be the gold standard of, okay, you got one job, right? I know they got a lot of jobs. They do a lot of different disease things, but really, you got one job.
Right.
And that was a mess. And the leadership and the way that, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. And now because of all that, it's been, comes off as a control issue and all that. And in reality, people will probably get mad at me for saying, but it's, if I have the possibility of catching, a virus that can possibly make me very, very sick or not very sick, and we don't even know until we get it whether it's going to be bad or not. And the only thing I got to do is wear a mask when I'm really close to other people, then it's kind of makes some sense to me. And so in writing the book and all of that, I went under the old definition of a pandemic, the way, 1918 and the original SARS and H1N1 and all that kind of Ebola and all that. And this has been an entirely different animal. So, but again, remember that the book was never intended to have the virus be the star of the story. It's not, it's not Matt Damon running down the street, carrying a small child, the world's collapsing around him. This is just, a grinding, miserable separation, and now nobody knows what's true and what's not. And so, but at least I don't have to deal with that now. So I moved on with the story, and what is the people reaction to this?
So let's get out of the world of the book for a second. What's your thoughts of this pandemic and the new numbers that came out from the CDC that actually I looked at today, that actually shows that even with the people in the nursing homes that died, they were kind of sentenced to death, I think. But even with them in the numbers, it's the death rate is less than the flu.
Well,
in America.
Here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that I'm on my county's pandemic task force. I get to edit the pandemic plan, and I've edited part of it for my segment. And the testing, we can't get a grip on the testing situation. So I did some screening at a lab for, to work with the fire department, and the lab tech in there was just shooting the bull with me, and we were talking about it, and she's like, I've got 45 to 75% of the positives, tests are coming back positive as a ratio of overall tests. So they don't look at it and say, well, the numbers are up because the testing is up. That's not how it works. What they do is everybody that gets tested, they get tested because they think they might have it. They get tested because they have elective surgery coming up. They get tested because of job employment or going back after being self-quarantined. There's a number of reasons why people get a test. It's not just because they think they're sick. So they work by a ratio of positive to overall test numbers. And she's telling me these numbers, and I go to the fire station and I'm talking to the firefighters, and they're like, we know a company that has 16 employees, and they got all 16 of them sent tests. They opened them up, didn't test anybody, sent them all back, and all 16 came back positive. How are you supposed to figure out what any of this means if none of this? Because a lot of people can have it through the entire course and not get sick, or not visibly symptomatic, And so all I know is until we figure this out, I just kind of try to keep my distance a little bit, go on about my way. I'm not crazy about, running in everywhere. I don't wear a mask everywhere I go. If I'm going to be close to somebody, then I'm going to put a mask on.
Yeah.
My kids go back to daycare now, and the second day they're back to daycare, I'm already getting a head cold. So that place is an incubator.
You got the virus, man.
Yeah, I got the Rona. I know.
Hey, don't you look at people now if they sneeze or cough when you're out in public, though?
So I was wearing a mask today because I was at the bank, and I'm sitting in there in the manager's office doing some stuff, having a conversation, and I got the sniffles because I got this this, head cold thing from my little one going to daycare. And I go like that behind my mask, and the lady's her eyes get big, and she's like, "Are you sick?" And she's like, because this is a place that they had to unlock the door to let me in to go sit, and do some transactional stuff. Okay. So now she's freaked out. Everybody's already wearing masks, and she's like, "Are you sick?"
I don't mind wearing a mask because I want people to see me when I'm out anyway. I mean, when I flew,
people probably appreciate most of the kind of mask anyway.
They thank me. When I went to Chicago, I wore a black mask with sunglasses and a hat. You couldn't even see my face, and I'm like, "Ooh, I can get used to this." Yeah. And so I don't mind it. When I'm around friends, we'll go out. We have this place down the road. We go get ice cream and just sit out and chat. And you get to know your friends, and when they feel comfortable and you feel comfortable, you take your mask off. I also think I have the miracle drug that was majorly politicized by the media and Trump as well. I actually have hydroxychloroquine for preventative. I mean, I haven't taken it as preventative in case I get it. I've talked to person after person after person. And actually just this week, one of my city leaders said, hey, I think it was his cousin was in the hospital in South Carolina. They were literally said they had him on his stomach and he was on a ventilator, and they pretty much said he's a goner. And the family went in and fought for them to give him hydroxychloroquine and is it Zethrum or the Z-Pack. Mm-hmm. And 3 days later, he was up and gone. And so anyway, that's how I feel about it. And there's studies. You guys can come up with what you want to do. But so with that, and you being a leader, do you feel? Okay, first of all, us as preppers, when we knew that the the Surgeon General was saying no need to wear a mask, we're like, is this guy an idiot?
Yeah, that didn't make any sense whatsoever. That kind of went against everything. And I think that was one of the major points where you set the message and people latched onto it. And I'm not a scientist. I can't say one way or the other. All I know is I don't trust any of them.
Right.
And all I got to do is wear a mask when I get close to strangers or in that environment and make sure I wash my hands a lot to make myself safer. I will, because there's too many stories and too many people that we know that have been sick, and some of them haven't had very bad symptoms, and some people have been more sick. Because I'm on the 911 system now, I see the description of the people that are sick and what they are experiencing, because that gets transmitted across the system to the responding units. And I don't want anything to do with that.
Right.
It's really, really bad for some people. And it's not just the old people. I mean, it's the older people too.
It does.
I don't have anything to do with that. So if all I got to do is protect myself, then that's what I'll do. Why not? I don't need to make a statement and say I'm against control because
I'm for Trump. I'm not going to wear a mask.
Okay. I see it firsthand. And because I see it, because I'm on that task force and I hear the numbers and I hear what's going on, I know that there's a lot of mess with it, but I do see that there's a lot of real suffering that's going with it as well. So
absolutely,
I don't want to be involved in that.
I agree 100%. And this is not the pandemic that you wrote about and others wrote about, and that we dreamed.
It's the worst apocalypse ever. It's the worst doomsday ever. We have a pandemic thing in our mind of, like I said, Matt Damon and, World War Z. And it turns out that it is nothing like that whatsoever. It's
nothing.
And
I mean, up above me is a little storage shelf, and I have my pandemic box, and we haven't even opened it. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got gloves, I got N95 mask, I've got shields, I even have the regular mask, whatever you call them, they're $150, whatever. I have all that
on things, and I got the cadaver management kit because I drew that up in the germ warfare issue.
Oh, I remember once you had all these masks behind you. Like
yeah. I'd show you, but I just took them all back down to the thing, so I'll back up again now. But I have all the professional masks. I actually have N100 masks. Haven't used any of it. You know,
Now,
what I will say is I just heard, and maybe Joe can clarify, that the neck gaiters, you know, people putting the neck gaiter over their face, and that because of that material, now when we speak, you know, we're sending out larger droplets as we talk. But when it goes through the neck gaiter and goes through that meshy gauze like that, it's breaking them up into aerosolized particles and actually going further. So that's another, you know, you see a lot of people out there went and just bought the fishing gaiters. They pull up over their face, you know, on the neck. And if that's the case, you know, then you're getting a little
keep
bit
talking.
More,
I got something to show you.
This is kind of like when I have a conversation with my wife, and next thing I know, there's an empty chair, and I don't know what happened. And she's like, "Yeah."
No, it's more like your wife having a conversation for you, and you fall asleep.
Yeah, I'm back in the chair.
So, oh yeah.
Oh, did you guys get some PrepperNet stuff? Oh, what's this? Look at this. Wow, I see.
Anonymous. Yeah, this doesn't wear good, and I wouldn't wear it. I was going to wear this on the plane, but I thought people would freak out. And I have a full head one as well, like that.
Yeah, I've got a lot of that stuff. As you might imagine, my junk boxes of stuff that I've collected over the years, it's overwhelming. All the little things like that. But I look, I've got an RZ mask. Now, an RZ mask is a very high quality mask, although what it's got is it's got the little exhalation valves on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing, and a lot of people don't realize, they think, oh, I'm wearing a mask, I'm good to go. Well, you might not be inhaling things through that really nice mask, but if you have those little diaphragm flappers that let you breathe out the heat a little better to prevent fogging and goggles and stuff, you're breathing, if you're asymptomatic, you're breathing that stuff out all over the environment. So, you know, but that's the one I'm wearing when I go somewhere. So hopefully I'm not asymptomatic and then infecting everybody else.
Right.
But, you know, when we're in this Georgia heat, you know, the last thing you want to do is be just baked into these heavier masks like that.
Yeah. Next time we have a pandemic, we need to have it through the winter. And so summer.
Yeah. Well, you're going to this time.
We're going to.
I'm actually going to make. You want me to make it?
Go ahead, Prophet Charlie. Go ahead.
Here's my next prognostication. The response that we have had in this country has been so subpar at every single level to deal with the pandemic that I think it has exposed a national security vulnerability, and the countries that take advantage of germ warfare, biological bioterror weapons, probably see an opportunity.
Yes.
Because the next time this comes around, it'll be politicized. We've got pandemic fatigue already, and everybody's like, I'm not doing that again. I don't believe it. And if it really turns out to be a serious issue, I think that the next one could be a problem. So that's, and when I think about security, when I think about the attack plans, and you think about how you can only defend if you understand the attacker, right? So when you're doing defense around your home, you've got to look at your home as if you're the attacker. Where would I go? What would I do? And when I see the response that we've had here on a national level compared to the rest of the world, the American character, I read an article about the American character, was shockingly not what we all thought it was. And I think I can see that. Now, we're so politicized, we're so separated, we're so divided, that the next time somebody wants to release some sort of a nasty mosquito or something, I think we could be in real trouble.
Yes, I agree. I personally think the Surgeon General should be fired immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, when you come, because we all knew, all the preppers knew, what kind of mask do we need?
Mm-hmm. Everybody knew. It was not a secret.
We didn't go buy the little cover ones or bandanas for a pandemic.
Yeah, we didn't buy exam masks and all that.
No.
People said, were you prepared for this? I said, yes. It was one of my top 3, disaster events that I thought that I need to be prepared for.
And I was prepared.
Didn't face an inch.
But then we wanted to go to the grocery store, and I'm like, well, I don't have one of them other kind of masks. Why are they wearing them? So, but actually, we limited our going to the grocery store, but we didn't know it was going to be pandemic light. Now, I'm not saying that the deaths are real and all that stuff, but we were looking for something maybe like your book.
Yeah. Well, that's my point when I said this is the worst doomsday ever, because
right.
We had in our mind that it was going to be, this catastrophic cinematic event, right? When they say pandemic, everybody's thinking bleeding from the eyes, Ebola.
Right.
And I am guilty of thinking that our biosurveillance system in the country will catch it. We've always risen to the challenge to find it, to fix it, to get rid of it. And none of that has happened. And this has turned into, well, you got it, but we don't know if you got it. You got a false positive. You were positive yesterday. You took a test again today, and you're negative. And at every level, they're like, well, don't wear masks. Well, we were wrong. We were just telling you that because we wanted to save all the masks for the medical professionals. Go ahead and wear a mask now.
Right. And it was all Trump's fault. And, I mean, every bit of it.
He didn't help. Okay. He didn't help.
But I mean, what does Trump know about wearing masks? Seriously.
Look, if you're going, regardless of your political views, if you're going to get your scientific, information from this guy, maybe you're going to the wrong place.
Right.
Everybody now is a Facebook doctor, got that Facebook medical degree. You've seen it, and because anytime they float out something on the media and it ends up on Facebook, you'll see the people run off with that same thing and start parroting it the next day. And it's everywhere. This is the way it is. And, okay, that's why the CDC had one job.
Yep. And I would, if I was Donald Trump, I would fire the Surgeon General immediately, because even if he lied to get all the medical supplies for the doctors and the responders, it was still wrong. He should have made no comment.
It's all been wrong. It's all been a challenge. And we end up with these people that are going to the hospital and, flatten the curve. We did flatten the curve, and then, we didn't. And then, so I don't know. But I am not the doctor. That's a Joe issue. He will help you with that. That was my editorial on the top.
Wait a second. That's not you. That you're not a doctor there.
Yeah. Well, there. Okay, I can't do that.
You could be anything you want, Charlie. Don't say anything.
That's what my mama always said. What's wrong?
Well, so give us some prophecy, Charlie. What should we be doing? What should we be looking for? How are we going to end this pandemic? How are we going to end in groups? Give us some words of wisdom that I can just write down and just live by it. I got my pen right here.
All right. So three things. The first two are, one, like I said, if all you got to do is just try to wash your hands and stay away from people that might be sick in those environments, then do that. Because it's not just you that might or might not get sick. You're like, oh, I'm fine. I'm in that age range, or my kids or whatever. But if you're asymptomatic and you take that back to grandma, she doesn't need that kind of business. Mm-hmm. So the next thing I think we're looking at, the supply chains are going to be permanently altered, at least for a very long period of time. Money always wins. They may still go back to China for a lot of things, but I think it really should change if we could find a way to do that. And in the meantime, especially in light of yesterday, I think was it yesterday or last weekend, there was 10 million acres of corn was flattened in America, in the Midwest. Does anybody know that?
Yes. Straight line winds.
You know what that means to fuel, and that means to nutrition. So we're going to face those kind of issues. And, like Beirut had their problem with their grain elevators all over the ground right now because of that, right? That's a country that's dealing with some serious issues. It only takes a few of those regional type of things to happen that really can affect the food chain. So do what you can to at least supply part of your nutrition, part of your supply chain management in your own home. Stock up where you can. Balance all of your preps because of the supply chain issue all the time, not just now. You always hear me talk about the 9 areas of preparedness, right? Food, water, shelter, safety and health, security, energy, communication, transportation, and information intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Work on all of those across the board evenly. Don't go out and buy 10,000 rounds of ammo and have a bag of potato chips. That's not doing yourself any good service. So manage your own supply chain, build your relationships, look for a bad fall season this year. They say it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be bad from what I've already seen. We've already seen West Nile virus pop up in our area in North Georgia. We've already seen the type B flu is already making an appearance in addition to this, the virus issue. So let's just manage our health. If we all just manage washing our hands and keeping the bad things off of us, that would be, a long way towards your health, and think about everybody else. I don't think you need to go crazy over it. Depends on your work environment. But I think managing you're going to see probably more mental health issues. Some of the stuff that I've seen come across the 911 system has a little bit to do with suicide and a lot of just anxiety and depression, people making domestic issues. So let's try not to hurt each other, because I think you're going to see a lot more of that. If you do carry, get some training if you can. I know ammo is really expensive right now, but learn a lot. We got a lot of new people with guns. If you're going to join the NFAC, the Need Firearm Counseling,
That's good. That's good.
At least get some training, because we don't need any unnecessary injuries. And we got a lot of people out there with guns right now that don't have any experience, and a lot of people that are angry right now. So if you carry everywhere. If you're going to carry, be good with what you carry, and be safe. And with a lot of kids at home, let's keep those weapons secured and out of their reach. But as far as prognostications go, I think we're going to have a bad health season. I think we're going to see a lot of schools opening and closing and some stuff like that, regardless of the politics. And I think I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with the election now. But as everybody says, be prepared for disruptions. So, that could be a thing.
Okay.
What was that? Was that the port?
Well, no, I was going to share it when you finished. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it.
No worries. But I would say read up and understand the things that you're talking about, the things that you're trying to, that you're hearing about. Do your own research.
Yes.
I broke my cardinal rule of commenting on YouTube videos. I commented on 2 of them yesterday.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah, I because you know what I'm tired of? I'm tired of these people that have decided they got to do their Patreon account, or they got to go out and stand in the yard now every day, and they have to think of something to say. So they stand there and they go like this, and they make you wait while they kick the dirt around, and they're pensive, and they're all like, I don't know. This it's bad now. Civil War.
And I name names too, because I know one that has his coffee cup, and he'll go,
well, yeah, okay, yeah, yes, him.
I'm not going to say the name.
There's several of these guys, and they may have a good message that they could be sharing, but they're trying to fill time, and it's as bad as a 24-hour news cycle.
Yeah.
If you got a message and you want to share it on YouTube or any of the social media, get on there and share it, or show somebody something beneficial to learn. But if you're going to stand out there with the drama of and just sigh and look down and make me wait for what you're going to do for the next 30 seconds, then I got to move on. And we've gotten to that now where every video headline is the end is on us. This is what the deep state is doing, and it's all in giant red letters with exclamation points. Okay, can we? Yeah. I heard a term this weekend. I was at an event, and a big survival event of business, and it was all about social media and branding and moving forward and trying to get these businesses on track, because everybody now is busy and selling everything they've got, and they're trying to now, how do we bridle this and understand it? And it was the BS meter for people now is gotten better. Mm-hmm. People are sick and tired of so much of this dramatic, because now everybody's doing it. What we need now, so if you're making videos, make them authentic, make them genuine, make them about you and your experience. And that's the kind of thing that people want to listen to. They don't want to hear you be a shill for, the latest knife or whatever, send your 50 cents for a free whatever to get on the mailing list. So that's that's what we're seeing. But I think the BS meter is getting better for that. And I hope that the BS meter is getting better for what they're talking about, the politics of the election stuff, what's going to happen come November 3rd when we don't have election results for the next 2 weeks or longer, just be prepared for that.
Yep. So I got something to add to what you've been saying about supply chain and food. And I'm going to throw up a photo. Gosh, that's not big enough, but that's actually a dam in China.
Is that the Yangtze River, I think, right? The Three Gorges Dam.
Yes.
When they built that in the 90s, they used so much concrete that it actually changed the rotation of the earth a little bit, and we couldn't get drywall and construction in the U.S. except for allotments because the gypsum and the lime were going to that thing.
But notice in 2009 how it's a straight line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's failing.
Look at 2018 at the straight line.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already moved millions of people because some expect this to fail. Mm-hmm. What's downstream from that?
A bunch of cities that are in lowlands.
Well, Wuhan is one.
Yeah.
And where do they make most of their medical stuff? In the Wuhan area.
Well, that was part of the reason that we didn't get some of our masks and stuff, because it turns out that a lot of mask manufacturers are based in Wuhan and weren't getting it to us. Yes, absolutely.
So,
along with drug precursors too.
This is the largest dam in the world, and it did. You're right. They said it actually affected the Earth's rotation as they built this for some or whatever.
Yeah,
so
and the water that it collected.
Right.
Yeah.
But if this thing was to burst, whatever you want to say there, it is going to not only hurt the food that is downline of this in China, but a lot of our supply lines and companies are down there. Go right now and you'll see flooding north of the dam, and there's flooding south of the dam. And they're predicting like next 8 days of a tropical storm is going right up north, and all that water is going to go right through this dam. So that's something. So you said in the is it Midwest, Iowa, Wisconsin?
Yeah, in the Midwest with the
they're not sure they can actually recover a lot of these crops because they're laying flat on the ground.
They had just stabilized them and sprayed them just this last Saturday, and with the fungicides and everything else, and they'd already been dealing with some drought stress, and they were getting ready to harvest in September, and now it's a loss, and so that'll have a probably a significant effect on everything that is corn related.
Yes. So just because you think we're coming out of a pandemic or whatever, you need to have supplies, especially food. And I'll also say this. I'm not saying, well, Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy will back me on this, but right now, there was any of the antibiotics that we could get they're all made in China, but any of the bird or fish antibiotics completely dried up. But right now, they're available. I've looked at like 5 websites. Guess who just announced they're going to stop making fish antibiotics?
Who's that?
And Thomas Labs.
Yeah.
And they're one of the big manufacturers. There's a couple of other ones, but it's a good time to pick up some of this stuff.
Well, it's a great way to do that. So yes, and Joe has written about that, and Joe's got great videos and articles on it. I do recommend go to doomandbloom.net.
Yep.
And look that kind of stuff up. What I'll say, yes, that's very good. That book.
Hey, I got a question for you though, Charlie, real quick before you go. Hang on.
And while you're doing that, I made friends with some medical professionals, like my dentist and doctor. Oh yeah, there you go.
You have the color one.
Well, I don't think I have the color one.
Yeah.
So what I found is you can make some friends with. You need them in your group anyway, and you can make friends with some of these medical professionals and get some prescriptions written for some of the antibiotics, Doxy, Augment, and amoxicillin, and a number of these things. And sometimes if you go to your doctor and say that you're traveling, out of country with your family for a few months or something. I've had success with doctors writing scripts for a number of different medications that way. I would definitely take advantage of the as much supply of your medications as possible. I know that through the VA system, we're looking at possibly some shortages on medicines and some of the precursor. And you never hear me into conspiracy stuff because I just don't have time for it, But I do know that some of the supply chains, some of the drug precursors, and some of those issues are realistic and they are happening. Because they're coming from overseas. And that's why you need to if you can get your 3 months or even more of all of these things, then get them now. And Joe's also really revealed some great studies on that pills will last a lot longer than what the written expiration date is. Right. So don't still throwing stuff out until you look it up and verify the drug extension test.
One thing we've learned is if this winter gets really bad with COVID, it is better to have the food so you don't have to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So go get your food now. There's going to be a shortage, and there's inflation's going to hit because very little corn is available. We used to have stockpiles. You remember the America?
Yeah, it used to be a lot of that. It's not like that now.
We don't do that anymore. We stockpile fake cash.
So here's the inside thing, and a lot of people already know it, but the inside thing in our area is we have some communities that house a lot of the farming, the migrants who come to do the picking and stuff like that, and chicken houses and those. They're experiencing these outbreaks in these different processing places in the picking crews, and the reason this is really it's demographic because they live in very close confines. You get a lot of people living in the same house. They ride the same vehicle to work. They just can't spread out when they go to pick. Or when they live. So it's going to be natural to see some disruptions in some of the local food chain stuff. That's why you heard me say earlier, all the stuff that we're talking about now, I've already said how to mitigate that. And that's by making those connections, by understanding what's going on in your area, by knowing where these environments are, where these picking houses are, where the chicken houses are, the beef, the slaughterhouses, and understanding what they're dealing with in those industries. Part of your study for your area is to understand that industry in your area and how is it being affected by either weather, natural disasters, by virus illness, whatever the case may be. You got to know what's going on in your area to mitigate that problem. Buy local, and it'll help those people around you.
Yes, and if you do some research right now, you'll see that even the government is starting to stockpile food, which they haven't done in a long time. They're stockpiling food because they are expecting some shortages, but so just get some food.
They should be, they should be. And I'm glad you brought that point up, but here's the thing. We should not look at everything that the government does as there's some kind of nefarious conspiracy behind it. Our government should be planning to establish order. Our government should be planning to have food reserves. We should be planning on how we're going to defend or attack something.
Yes.
Because if they're not doing their job that I hope that they would do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that they're doing it is because I think they should be doing that kind of stuff. It's, hopefully they are doing it and they're doing it in a way that will work and they won't have the disruptions when it comes time to distribute that stuff to people that need it.
Yes. So what we need to do, everyone to do this week is buy all the fish antibiotics, buy at least 3 to 6 months worth of food, and get in a survival group all this week.
Yeah, you can buy your way right into it. Just write that check. It's that PrepperNet money. You just go in there and you order that semi. But for seriously though, I mean, because of all of the things that we just normally have done and built up over the years, we didn't even skip a step in any of this.
Right.
We already had the masks. We already had the sanitizer. We already had the food. We already had all of these things because we practice what we preach. And if you try to do it all at once, it's going to bankrupt you and make you miserable. But if you just chip away at that every day, just a little bit, when you can, you'll find that you're in much better shape than other people. And that's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Charley, it has been an absolute pleasure having you. Let me show you something here, guys. Whoa, look at that.
Yeah, we've actually revamped our site. We're still working on it, but yeah, it's there.
Whoa, I didn't mean to remove it there, but yeah. So if you want to get in touch with Charley, he's got his services right here.
Yep.
And so he does consulting. He teaches swim lessons.
Yeah, that's right. Water ballet. Yeah.
So it's all coming up. Security planning, strategic location.
Yeah, we were working on that today. So if you don't see it tonight, you'll see it tomorrow at least. But there's so many services that we do. You won't see that in other places. It boils down to, contingency planning, preparedness, and all of that. So we'll help you with it. I'm happy to help you with it.
Yep, and he's got his books. So go buy his books. You got to have the one on survival groups. Must have. If you don't buy it, you should not. I mean, PrepperNet's all about getting in groups. And if you don't, oh, look at that. I'm getting a phone call. So buy his books, then read the Unraveling, and you could go, wow, that's what could have happened. I'm glad it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, because that's the experience of people that were in the middle of it. See, you're making history now.
Right.
Don't know. We can't comprehend where we fit into this part of history, because right now it's like, oh, this is miserable, or I hate this, or I don't feel anything. I don't get it. What's the big deal? So wherever you are, when they look back on this point, I'm curious as how they're going to describe it.
Right.
But, we'll see.
What do you call them? Illials? What's the term?
Millennials. The illennials, like the millennials. Well, now we're going to have the illennials.
Millennials. So, hey, so Ready Go Prep is Charley's website.
Yep.
And go and set up a phone call with you and your group, or you and your friend that wants to set up a group. Hey, and you're coming out with a book for the documents too, because I've been a big fan of the documents, and I've pushed your documents a lot.
As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what we'll do. If you want to do that deal again for your PrepperNet members tonight, we'll do that.
Okay, that deal was.
Yeah, if you want to do that, we will provide that document packet for your people again, because I believe in what everybody's doing at PrepperNet to come together. We will put all that together, and we will get it out for the download. So
this is the documents. I just want to show people.
Yeah.
There are a lot of pages here.
There's about, I don't know, what was it, like 75 pages of stuff in the full document packet or something. I have to look.
Yeah, it even has network marketing in there.
The activation chart is what we call that. But yes, it's
it's in color. Look at that.
Yeah.
The family tree. You are akin to to Moses.
Yeah, it goes into the span of control for security and everything. Yep.
But this, I forgot what you offered this at, to be honest with you.
I will check with my office. She is on here. Courtney will
just email them.
Yeah. Courtney's in here. She'll put that up for you, and we'll do that.
I didn't know we were going to do this, but
well, you're welcome. So, but because it's really helpful. I mean, we're going to put a book out on it, but by the time we'll be great by the time that happens.
Yes. So, okay. So if you want that, the only way we can get that to you right now is you just go to his website, Ready Go Prep, and say, hey, I want the book. And it was not, I mean, it's worth $100, $200. I'll just be honest.
Well, yeah, go send me an email at info@readygoprep.com. And then we'll get you the information on that. I know Courtney will get that over to you, but go to info@readygoprep.com, and it'll come through the office. And it's real easy. We'll just send you a link, a pay link, pay it right there, and you get the download, and off you go, and you're off and running. And you will be light years away ahead of where you are now as far as a group, as far as your organization.
I absolutely agree. I couldn't agree more that everyone needs that, and they need your book. So
I appreciate that. And thank you guys all for supporting us for these years. And because we do take it seriously, we do want to put out the good information, and you guys are doing a great job. Just stick with it. Be kind to each other. And we're there with you all the way.
Wait, be kind? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Darn.
That's not between us. Between you and I is more.
Oh, okay, yeah. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Charley, again, you're an amazing. Your knowledge is amazing, and what you do for the community is everyone loves what you're doing. Your books, and you really have a heart to help people, and that shows with all the volunteer stuff that you do down in wherever you are now because you moved.
Yeah. We're up north of Atlanta, up in the hills.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but
it's all right. The reason you're going to want to know that is
it's 764 North
opportunities that'll be on the horizon here, and you're going to want to go there.
What happened to my cat? But he lives at 764 North Pine Street.
That's right. Yeah,
I have no idea.
Most people are going to be surprised when people start showing up.
Yeah. So, hey, support him. Go buy his stuff, buy his books, and if you've got questions, hire him. I mean, he is a wealth of knowledge. He is the expert when it comes to groups.
We hate that term, you
are. I mean, I'm right here. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. You are the expert. So, well, thank you for coming on. Mm-hmm. You almost lasted longer than Dr. Bones and Nurse Amy. So,
there's a lot we could always talk about. You guys want to get together and do something again, just let me know. I'll always make time for PrepperNet. And when you get a new host, it'll probably be a little bit, more fun. But
no kidding. I'm looking for someone to replace me. Okay. Well, good night. And thank you, Charley, for everything. And if you guys have questions, let us know. Peace out. Thank you, Charley.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. Be well.